I kind of know about it now.
Crypto Armageddon is here.
Oh shit, everybody care about these crypto shit? Bro, it's not, you don't even have to care about crypto shit. These are like these are massive events.
Biggest players in the world are at war. They're fighting it out, and I'm here to tell you who won and what's next. Now, I'm going to be honest, I called this yesterday. I warned you guys that FTX, second largest exchange, might be insolvent, and people called me crazy. They said, no way the guy who described all of DeFi as a Ponzi scheme could be bad. Sam Bankman-Fried, he's just too smart.
Wait,
FTX,
wait a minute.
after all, is endorsed by Tom Brady. What could go wrong with another celebrity endorsement?
Guys, how long have people knew about the FTX problems, whatever? Because, yeah, how long has this been going on for?
People like Larry David backed FTX. Surely your funds are
a few
safe.
months, right? Okay.
Well, turns out they were actually in danger all along. And
not a week, no shot. I heard about. I I know from who. I heard about the problems at FTX like way back when. Maybe a month and a half ago, a month ago.
Things are looking
about a month
very
ago.
bad. So I'm going to explain to you this entire mess very quick.
The people knew already. I didn't hear some
are changing by the hour.
That was a rumor.
But let's get into it.
No, it wasn't.
Once there existed two rival crypto exchanges, Binance and FTX, the #1 and #2 crypto exchanges, and their CEOs, CZ and SBF, or Sam Bankman-Fried, hate each other. That's an important part of this story. But things were calm at first, for the most part. They played nice for years, until recently, SBF decided to take a pot shot at his competitors' attempts to work with regulators, and said, he is allowed to go to DC, right? Implying that CZ was banned. Now, he didn't know it at the time, but SBF set off World War III in crypto with this tweet.
Guys, this is outdated, but there's two after that. So what do I do? Want to skip it or what?
Might have signed his own funeral, because a few days later, a report came out from CoinDesk leaking FTX's financial balance sheet. And what it showed is that they had a lot of money, but it was sort of locked up in all these token projects they were a part of, most notably in FTT token, Solana, and other projects that they were behind.
Oh my God.
And they couldn't sell the projects anytime they wanted to. In other words, even though they had billions of dollars worth of assets, they weren't very liquid, and it was arguable that some of the coins weren't that valuable. So they couldn't get access to these funds immediately. Meanwhile, they had huge liabilities of $8 billion, $7.4 billion of which were loans. Now, Dirty Bubble Media, who is the person who called out the collapse of Celsius, which we've talked about extensively, picked this up in a scathing report. In it, he suggested that FTX and Alameda Research might be insolvent because all their money was locked up in these tokens that might be worthless. And if everyone tried to withdraw their money all at once, the company could likely not pay off their liability.
Yeah, guys, I swear, guys, it's been about a month. I was hearing about something with TSM and FTX and things were gonna fall through or whatever, right? So have things not been like that?
Now, CZ
a month back
saw this and decided to take an opportunity to strike against his biggest rival. He announced that day that because of recent revelations, which because of that report, quote, we have decided to liquidate any remaining FTT on our books. Now, this was massive given that FTX's #1 holding was FTT.
TSM's fine, though.
Their competitor Binance is saying that they're going to dump up to $2.1 billion worth of it on the open market, causing that price to plummet. Now, all of a sudden, you don't even have illiquid funds. You just have none of those funds. So even though CZ said that this was not a move against a competitor, it kind of looked like it was, right? Of course, he's going to say that. In reality, he knew what he was doing. Now, immediately, this stoked all sorts of fears about the solvency of FTX. And the fear spread like wildfire. Is FTX the next Luna? Is FTX the next Celsius?
Terra Luna.
And people started to withdraw funds like crazy, which honestly was the logical move to make. The problem with crypto exchanges right now is that...
Chat, is this the equivalent of like a crypto bank run?
Because there's no monetary insurance on your money, even if the probability of an exchange going bust is less than 1%, you still have to take all your money out, because if they do go bust, you lose everything. If it doesn't go bust, you only lose a fraction of a percent on trading fees for being cautious. And so there's really nothing to risk by taking your money out, and there's everything to risk by keeping it in. So basically that means bank runs are extremely common these days, and a lot of these exchanges, they're really not ready for it. In fact, Sam Bankman-Fried himself said that a lot of crypto exchanges are secretly insolvent, which was a bit of weird foreshadowing. But at first, it looked like FTX wouldn't go insolvent. A lot of people said this was very unlikely, since in the past, they've looked very strong. And that's what they basically said. They said, look, it's no big deal. This is all FUD, nothing to worry about. Alameda Research, who is closely tied to FTX, actually responded about these leaks in their financial balances. And they said, quote, they have $10 billion worth of assets that aren't reflected there. And that also, they have returned most of their loans by now. And most shocking of all was that they offered CZ to buy all of his FTT off market for $22 each, near the current price. Now, the reason for this is obviously to show that, okay, we're not scared. We've got the money to back this up. And if you really aren't trying to sink us as a competitor, you'll be happy to do this private deal, get a better price, and not impact our price. It would save both parties a lot of headache. But unsurprisingly, because these guys hate each other, CZ wasn't having it. He said he was going to stay in the free market, signaling that he fully intended to squash the price of FTT. And he did. FTT dropped over the next 24 hours 30%. And not only that, reports started showing that FTX withdrawals were increasing. The bank run really was happening like CZ wanted. And this is where we have to go back to Alameda's CEO, what they said about having $10 billion worth of assets. Because there's some really key caveats about those claims. What are those $10 billion worth of assets? Are they cash? Because if they are, they're probably fine. But if there's something like more FTT token or more of Sam's other projects that he can't sell, well, that's going to be a significant problem for them when everybody's running and asking for their crypto back and they just don't.
Chat, guys.
All right.
HRX is a video about this. Is HRX video good about this or not?
Have it. So questions were flying about what exactly FTX was doing with your money when you deposited it. Were they just giving it to Alameda Research, which is sort of acting like a hedge fund and trading with your crypto, trying to make a big return? Or were they keeping your funds safe and just practicing proper risk management? Well, this is where everyone just basically waited with bated breath to see what was going to happen next. Uh-oh, this looks pretty bad.
I'm just confused that this still happens in the current day and age. Like you would think these exchanges are so big. It's like a bank, like some fucking. How much money did they have, like in and out, like the cash flow? You would think it's like an actual fucking bank.
Those withdrawals, and at the same time, the team
or
is
bigger,
totally silent, and people commented on how bad.
Wait, actually, bigger than banks.
This looks on them. Why aren't they speaking? And people started to circle back to old clips of Sam Bankman-Fried describing DeFi and crypto as basically a Ponzi scheme positively.
Some of them.
And they wondered, how did any of us trust this guy?
I think of myself as like a fairly cynical person, and that was so much more cynical than how I would have described farming. Like, you're just like, well, I'm in the Ponzi business and it's pretty good.
At no point did any of this require any sort of like economic case. It's just like other people put money in the box, and so I'm going to too, and then it's more valuable, so I'm going to put more money in. And at no point in the cycle did it seem to like describe any sort of like economic purpose.
So yeah, things are looking really grim. But if you have your money locked up on FTX and you're clinched up right now, take a deep breath because things look like they might be fine. Although it's coming from a very unlikely source. CZ announced only hours after FTX paused withdrawals that they were going to buy them. Binance was going to buy FTX, the number one crypto exchange, buying the number two out. Quote, this afternoon, FTX asked for our help. There's a significant liquidity crunch to protect users. We signed a non-binding LOI intending to fully acquire FTX.com and help cover the liquidity crunch. Now,
this is old news. I get it, but we're doing it one at a time, okay?
I'm at a loss for words. This is insane. If you're not sure what's just happened, CZ basically set his competitor on fire by stoking rumors of insolvency and then showed up with water buckets later, basically acting like the hero, saving the day. He just bought FTX out for likely pennies on the dollar in a move that's honestly going to go down as a bit of business genius and also cutthroat strategy.
Is that really all it takes though for things to like fall out of proportion like that? Just a couple statements randomly and boom, everything falls apart?
Was a sharp
Is it that
move.
shaky?
Now, in the next few months, you're going to see SBF and CZ try to spin this whole thing as if there's no conflict between them and there was never any problems. That was just a rumor, but don't believe it.
They were over leveraged.
This was very real. Only days ago, CZ was saying that we won't pretend to make love after divorce, and that, quote, we won't support people who lobby against other industry players behind their backs. So very much, these guys did not like each other, and one of them just won the war. So the fact SBF let himself get bought out by probably the man he hates most in crypto just shows you how badly they must have been short on cash or the crypto that was being withdrawn. I mean, I promise you they exhausted every other option. In fact, reports are already coming out that FTX was courting basically everyone in Silicon Valley, seeking more than $1 billion, but that by Tuesday, the hole in their balance sheet looked to be significantly deeper. In the end, they had to sell out to their biggest enemy. Now, what does all of this mean? Because for one, this represents a huge centralization in the crypto space. You know, everyone wants to be decentralized. Well, the number one buying out the number two is sort of a big problem if that's your goal. There also remain huge questions, like how they could have been out billions of dollars in the first place, and how exactly they were safeguarding customer funds if suddenly they find themselves at a multi-billion-dollar hole in their balance sheet after people actually look to get their money out. It seems to be yet another lesson that you should not trust these crypto exchanges as far as you can grow them.
Coinbase?
And that no matter what their CEOs say about not having to worry about anything, there could be significant liquidity crises that they're lying to you about. And on that note, I want to remind you that this deal is non-binding,
blockchain?
And Binance can get out if the due diligence doesn't pan out, or if they just don't want to do it. So if you're invested in FTX and didn't get your money out when I and others started telling you guys that they were likely to be insolvent, it's not time to relax. Binance isn't necessarily going to save you, and you should explore all your options because your funds might still be in danger if this deal doesn't work out. As for FTX US, I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, I have nothing on any exchanges or whatever.
Literally,
I have no funds on any exchanges.
FTX.com, although the deal is still pending, so who knows what's going
scared.
on with that.
Honestly, I don't know anything
about wild end to
blockchain.
one of the
you can hold your Bitcoin in.
No cap.
Am I stupid?
No cap. No. I have it on it's cold. It's cold, right? And I hired somebody to like some crazy shit. I did. It's like hidden. Okay, it's what it is. It's like some cold bullshit on a physical thing. It's locked away somewhere. Is some shit. It's only 9 minutes.
Okay, the guy you see next to me is the most generous billionaire in the world, and I found him.
The most generous billionaire ever, where you can get 10% off on your trading fees.
Fees are bad. Fees are very bad. But FTX, there are no fees whatsoever.
And if you sign up with our link,
Signing up using my link.
There are referral links. If you use my link below and the code name Tom Nash.
Oh, stop it, please. You guys are embarrassing yourselves. Listen, what a week it has been for financial influencers. Their reputations have just been going down the toilet. People who promoted absolute garbage companies like FTX US and BlockFi for millions of dollars. Today, we're finally seeing the results, as both of those companies are basically bankrupt. And so today, I'm calling out all the influencers who promoted it, some of whom I know, and I'm getting third wave
Promoted what?
embarrassment from it. You know, I know.
Yo. Jesus Christ,
It's mind-bendingly stupid to imagine that people actually listen to YouTubers for financial advice, but we all know they do. That's why they get offered these insane financial deals. And these people had a responsibility to their fans, and they blew it. So I want to talk about it because it's a pretty big scandal, and it involves a lot of people. I know some of them I've even done collabs with, and just honestly, it's crazy how many of the biggest financial channels took deals promoting this garbage. And honestly, none of y'all are getting off the hook today. It's
chat. Shut the fuck up, bitches. Stop it. I'm watching this video, man. Sit down. Shall we? No, we shall not.
For all of y'all. If you do the crime, you get the screen time. I don't care who you are. So I kind of showed a bit of it at the beginning of this video, but it was incredible to me as I like looked through the archives, just how many people got bought out by.
Wait, this guy. Wait a minute. Is the guy that chat that he made a video about like being rich, and like I made a reaction and I was trolling him, and then he made a video response calling me out for trolling him. And then the other day, he sent me a DM and invited me to his podcast.
People got bought out by FTX US. And let's face facts. The biggest reason for that is money.
Michael
I asked
Reeves
around,
whooped his ass.
the sponsorship deals were absurd. I know a guy, much smaller channel than me, making $500,000 a year, $50K a month just to promote FTX US. So I know the bigger guys were getting much more. Some of them probably deals were in the millions. So obviously that's a big reason. A lot of them did it, but I don't think that's the only reason, because I think that'd be honestly too easy to say, oh, they were just greedy, that's why they did this. I actually think it's worse than that.
Wait, Michael Reeves clapped him? Dude, nah, I mean, I'm glad Michael Reeves, he trained and whatnot.
I talked to a lot of these guys, and they were
in
fooled.
LA.
That's the scariest part. So many of these experts who are giving you guys advice totally bought into this Sam character as this genius billionaire, right? The most generous billionaire in the world, who also happened to be paying them handsomely, of course. And I just think it shows how bad the discernment is out there making videos on how to invest. It's alarming how many people fell for this guy's ruse. And it's alarming how easy it was to convince them. Like, some of
Wait, chat, guys, if you're doing an exchange, right? How do they make their money in order to how do they make their money in order to pay the advertisement, and also how do they even benefit from that? From fees? It's that much? Okay, and then what's their end goal with the marketing? Is to become #1 in the trading business?
these guys believed in Sam because he drives a beat-up car.
Sam doesn't need the money to buy a Lamborghini or to buy a Rolex or to impress his friends. In fact, his car is a Toyota Corolla.
You trust the guy more when you see the car he drives. He's worth like $20 billion or something, and he drives like this kind. I don't want to call it beat up. It's like it's an older Toyota. He doesn't even have window tints on a completely stock Toyota.
What does that have to do with anything? What does window tint have to do with Sam's qualifications as an investor? I mean, look, it's now coming out, guys, that at Alameda Research, they were just kind of embarrassingly incompetent. And the evidence was always there, but nobody who was selling FTX bothered to take notice. Apparently, they were too busy looking at the window tint. Here's the CEO of Alameda, for example, saying she hardly uses math at her job.
Yeah, absolutely could pull it off without my math degree. Use very little math. Use a lot of like elementary school math.
It's just beyond belief. Like, I don't want to pretend like I'm some Nostradamus who saw all this coming and nobody else did, right? I did call out FTX 24 hours before it shut down. I did call FTX US out well before, like 72 hours before it shut down. But I wasn't here with my crystal ball forecasting all of this years in advance. But that's the reason I didn't promote this. You know, I get the same offers as everyone else, but there's no way I'm going to risk my audience, you guys, in a game of crypto among us. Like, will this guy turn out to be a psycho in a year or two? Let's find out. No, I'm not going to do that. And it's not because I'm better than anyone. It's just because I know that even though I know a little bit about crypto, I don't know enough to know for sure whether these companies are going to be around. And that's the crazy thing, is I think of everyone we're talking about today, I probably know the most. I probably have the biggest claim to like crypto expert, and I would never feel comfortable saying that because there's just no way you know. And so I think it exposes a big gaping flaw in this influencer world where it's not just the greed, it's just this systemic failure of people to recognize their own lack of expertise. And it's so easy for charismatic geniuses
harder. This is a lot of information, but I'm taking it in.
Convince these people based on basically no evidence. Take, for instance, meet Kevin's seal of approval.
The guy's brilliant. He talks very fast, but he's brilliant, and I trust him and I like him.
Yeah.
Really?
Okay, but why would you trust you wearing a fedora, unironically?
He talks very fast.
I don't get it.
But he's
that's like
brilliant,
the biggest red
and
flag
I trust him and I like him.
Possibly have.
Really? You know, I talk really fast. My brilliance is definitely up for debate, but do you trust me with all your money? Because you shouldn't. So it's just abysmal. And now that this has all come out, some of these guys are now coming out and apologizing, as they should. But is it enough? Because people like Graham Stephan now has made a video about it. Basically, he said 24 hours before FTX US went bust, like, hey, maybe you should get your money off.
FTX US has been a sponsor here on the channel for the majority of the year. This one I did not see coming. I think it's pretty safe to say as a result of that, I'm no longer working with them. So if you hold anything on FTX US, you could still take it out and transfer it to an external wallet or wherever else you please.
But how many people saw this compared to almost a year of ads? Or take Tom Nash, someone who's appeared on this channel.
Okay,
you know, he took a...
Wait, I'm confused, chat. I'm confused. Okay, maybe I'm out of touch. Why would you ever use an exchange service like a bank? Shouldn't you use your wallets, whether it's cold or whatever, as your bank, and then get everything out of that bitch as fast as possible?
A different approach and basically said no one signed up under him.
I think that you all deserve me to talk about FTX. I was working with them.
Can't you hide
for
crypto from taxes?
Somehow.
From what? From what?
Can you just easily hide a lot of money in crypto from taxes?
It's complicated. So you're gonna get taxed on the way out.
But you could still hold it in the meantime.
Yes.
And that's probably what they're doing.
Yeah, of course you can hold it. Of course you can hold it.
During this whole month we were running the campaign, literally nobody signed up for FTX US. They called me and I was insulted in the beginning. And they said, look, Tom, we got to cut it short because we had like a 3-month plan to work together. And they said, look, we're stopping after 1 month because nobody's...
Yeah, how that works. I'm not doing anything. You guys are so dumb. Yeah, I have crypto. It's tax on the way out.
Signing up from your channel.
Yeah, I don't know if I buy that. At minimum, these are bad arguments. Like, no one signed up for me, or hey, I gave you 24 hours notice. Like, it's just such an embarrassing standard for this industry, if you can even call it that, because it's just a bunch of basically random people giving their opinion about finance. And truthfully, I just think it's a big lesson, another lesson, the millionth lesson, that you shouldn't be actually taking real advice from the people who you watch on these screens. They're entertainers, and they don't know much more than you about what they're actually selling. Now, I will say one small thing in their defense.
At IRS, at FBI, at US Gov, at Joe Biden. Look at this man. He done? He done. He would have exalted this guy.
A lot of smart people did get fooled. BlackRock was an investor. And for you millennials, even Kevin O'Leary got caught with his pants down.
Number one, I'm an investor in FTX International.
Oh my God, this guy.
Number two, I'm an investor in FTX US equity. Number three, I have accounts with FTX. I have capital there inside of my account. Obviously, like everybody else, I'm gated currently.
Yikes. I guess it just shows...
Why would you hold funds in an exchange service?
How bad the advice out there was, and how many people, so many of these financial experts, were fooled and then made fools of themselves by promoting this junk. Now, the next thing I want to talk about...
It's safe.
Isn't there rewards? Like,
Bro,
don't you must get something out of it, though.
Bro.
Like, if you put it in a bank, you're getting interest if you do it right, no?
Interest, bro. The interest is going up and down, based on the value of the crypto, right, bro? If you have even a good amount of what do you mean question mark? My brother, if you have 1 Bitcoin and you store it somewhere, right? When you go to cash it out in whatever amount of years, you are cashing out 1 Bitcoin.
They must have had something different than a cold wallet. They must have had something like your money goes up somehow.
If it went up,
they must have had something.
It went up. It went down. It went down. You're still cashing out a Bitcoin, right? That's not interest, but they have interest on the FTC bullshit. So it's like going up in amounts, like a bank.
Is a company called BlockFi, which paused withdrawals yesterday. It looks like they're also going to be bankrupt. And I just want to talk about the influencers who promoted them as well. Here's a few clips of what I'm talking about.
Well, I feel bad for people who lost their money. Listen. In my opinion, if you have a good amount of shit, okay, and you want to deal with the shit, bro, you go to the bank, you get a security deposit box, okay, you put the fucking physical thing, and then you open another one, and you put the motherfucking the recovery words, and boom, it's hidden forever.
I have never taken on a paid sponsorship on my channel. Please use my link to sign up to this credit card. And even
I don't have that. I've been better.
Contractually obligated to speak positively about them. Don't forget to grab up to $250 worth of free Bitcoin using this BlockFi link right here. It would really help me out a lot.
We didn't touch on this at all, but the thing I'm most excited about for this year is the Bitcoin Rewards credit card, which we're launching in the second.
Oh, now this is just a lot more of the same junk. And once again, I mean, I would say this even more so. We have evidence that these people were just bad at predicting this stuff. They just had no idea what was going on. Because Andre Jick, for instance, said he keeps all his money on BlockFi, which just went under.
I keep most of my money, in fact, all of my crypto with BlockFi, both my...
Funny thing is that this whole fiasco, and it was the reason why Satoshi invented Bitcoin, to hold the rights to your own money and not a third party. Exactly. The whole point is to be decentralized and away from one-tap bullshit. And then everybody loads their on their own decentralized bullshit and they stack that bitch onto one centralized system. What the fuck?
Ethereum, my Bitcoin, everything.
Rip to your portfolio,
Bro, these
my
guys
man.
are just dumb
Now,
as
I
hell.
also want to say, meet Kevin. I think personally
All these
invested
guys are just stupid as fuck,
$420,000 into this platform, which cool number, I guess. So I think he also lost a ton of money on that. But I just think it's just a big lesson that you cannot take advice from these people. I know the parasocial relationship.
Yes, it's like gold. It's like having gold bars and silver bars in your basement, literally. If you know what you're doing, right, dude? If you have like a wallet, right, it's physical plus the recovery key or whatever, right, you can have infinite gold bars in a singular small spot. You can treat it the same way, like having a fucking gold bars in your basement, pretty much. Like not in your basement, somewhere else instead.
And you start to feel that maybe
What?
they know something.
That's how I see it.
But a lot of them are Googling it like 5 minutes before they go live. Okay, that's the truth. It makes sense. Of it. And I just think a lot of these influencers themselves should take a hard look at themselves, because as much as it's ridiculous that anyone takes their advice, they actually do, and it's gonna hurt a lot of people for a long time. So that's basically.
Well, chat. He finishes, guys. This is the finisher, chat, and it's trending. It's kind of going hot. This is going hot mode.
Are now hanging in the balance. It's so big that even the White House arrested.
Recent news further underscores these concerns and highlights why prudent regulation of cryptocurrencies is indeed needed.
Wow. Now I'm going to try to explain all of what just happened in the last 24 hours. The swirling rumors, the doomers.
So much for decentralization. The only purpose, almost the only point of everything seems like it's just gonna.
And the Bloomers.
Going belly flopping.
Wait, I'm sorry. The Bloomberg allegations. And everyone else's allegations too. Because when something this big happens, it becomes difficult to sort through what is provably true and what is sort of speculation. So where I can, I'll be telling you what I'm sure about and what I'm not. And I'm even going to share some insider knowledge I learned from an Alameda research employee who leaked a lot of interesting information to me. So let's get into this. But first, hello from the future, guys. It's a quick interruption to this video to say that a lot has happened in the last 24 hours while editing this, and a lot of the information has changed. The story, just basically kept going. And so I've made an entire extra video attached to the end of this one covering the latest information. Please forgive me, I haven't slept a lot. Buckle up, though, because there's stolen billions, romantic affairs, flights to Argentina, possibly. But for now, just enjoy a much more well-rested CoffeeZilla, and I will see you in a bit. Last time we...
Wait, so this video is useless?
Spoke, FTX, one of the biggest crypto exchanges in the world, was in deep trouble. And their biggest competitor, Binance, was planning to buy them out for a bailout. Now, initially, this was...
Oh, wait, you said what? That's asked for help. To prevent users from re-sign a non-binding LOI intending to fully acquire.
Competitor Binance was planning to buy them out for a bailout. Now, initially, this was believed to be a short-term issue only for FTX. CZ, their competitor, called it a significant liquidity crunch. This basically means FTX had the money, just they didn't have it right now. To make an analogy, imagine I owed you cash but only had gold.
Chat.
That's a liquidity crunch.
Isn't this a tiny bit similar to the thing that happened with Robinhood or whatever?
I can't just give you gold, I have to go sell it first. But crucially, I have the money, it's just locked up. Now, depending on how hard it is to immediately sell, this small issue can turn into a very big one, which FTX figured out when $5 billion in withdrawals came in one day, and they just didn't have the money. And so that's what this buyout was all about. Binance stepped in and said, hey, we'll cover their short-term issue in exchange for buying out their long-term assets for pennies on the dollar, which is a pretty brilliant move when you consider that Binance's CEO kind of caused the whole problem in the first place, which if you want to know more about that, you can go watch our last video. However, I told you guys in that video that this buyout was kind of shaky at best.
Wait.
It was Wait.
So why don't they have the liquidity?
Binding, which meant at any point, Binance could just walk away if they didn't like what they saw. And that's exactly what happened. Binance recently said they're walking away from the deal and that the reason was based around latest news reports regarding mishandled customer funds and alleged U.S. agency investigations. And this absolutely ruined FTX's credibility overnight. Because all of a sudden, the conversation around FTX turned from liquidity crunch.
Okay, I get it. It's like okay, it's a normal thing that everybody understands in that realm, and I don't. It's like them. They have the liquidity that comes in from the users, right? And as an exchange, they get the money, the juice, right? Instead of just keeping it, of course, they dip it into other shit and invest it in things that can make more money, right? But basically, people say, yo, all our money back at the same time. They don't have the money because it's in other things, so they're leveraged.
To insolvency and fraud. Because look, there's a big difference between the two. Liquidity issues is when I don't have the cash for you right now, but I have the asset somewhere. Insolvency is when I don't have the cash and I have nothing else either. So if FTX was illiquid, it's a great deal. If FTX is insolvent, it's a nightmare, which is why a lot of people thought Binance backed out of the deal, with both Bloomberg and the Wall Street Journal reporting a multi-billion-dollar...
Banks also do that, but I think banks are like backed by like government bullshit, fucking scummas, like rigged bullshit, like trash.
...shortfall. Now, Binance responded to this saying that the issues are beyond our control or ability to help, and this is very bad news for FTX. It's bad news for...
If things go bad, they'll really print money or some shit, right? And it'll fix the... like
all of crypto, because your average investor is about to get wrecked. Not only that, the CEO, Sam Bankman-Fried, may be in a lot of trouble, because it turns out he was lying to everyone when he said that FTX...
I mean, I assume Binance, FTX, I would assume Coinbase, I would assume some... Fuck, what is that thing? There's one more, no?
Is fine, and that
Gemini.
FTX had funds to cover all client holdings.
Like,
He said this.
Kraken Gemini. Dude, Gemini is fucking my ass. I don't know what's wrong with that website. Dude, it's just hard to log in this shit. It feels like some fucking... I don't know what's wrong with that thing, man.
Basically, minutes before disaster.
If
now,
there's
he
no
has since
competitor, it's
deleted those tweets,
really
which
bad,
might be a
right?
good idea because they probably
of
are
course.
criminal.
There's like Visa
but we'll
and no
get back to
MasterCard.
that in a second, because first, I want to go back to Binance's earlier statement about mishandled customer funds. What did they mean by that? And how can a crypto exchange as big as FTX become insolvent? It's like hearing that a casino went insolvent. It's like, how did you guys lose money? You win no matter what. These crypto exchanges make money on the fees. Whether you win or not, whether it goes up or down, they're making money. So how could you have lost billions of dollars as one of the biggest crypto exchanges? That's the question. And this is where Alameda Research comes in. So as a quick explanation, SBF's empire is actually incredibly complicated. Like way more complicated than even complicated firms. Like this has been compared to the Lehman Brothers. Well, the Lehman Brothers corporate structure is way simpler. SBF's web of companies is really difficult to untangle. But really, there are two companies that matter the most: Alameda Research and FTX. FTX is the crypto exchange we've talked about, and Alameda Research is a small trading firm. Now, these two companies, though they're technically distinct entities, have always been sort of unusually close. Some have speculated unethically close. But their CEO claims that indeed they are separate entities. But with FTX seemingly becoming insolvent, that relationship is now under scrutiny. And it turns out they may have shared more than an office. They may have shared information and also been sharing client funds. And this is where this whole mishandled client funds allegation comes in, because FTX told users that their digital assets belong to them and wouldn't be traded. It's explicitly laid out in their terms of service. Quote, you control the digital assets in your account. FTX Trading does not represent or treat digital assets in users' accounts as belonging to FTX.
Trading does not represent...
Trading. And title treat digital assets in users' accounts as belonging to FTX Trading. And title to your digital assets shall at all times remain with you. But turns out this wasn't the case at all, because according to an Alameda Research employee who came to me anonymously, apparently they had more access to FTX than previously disclosed. In fact, not only did they have access to FTX's back end, they managed withdrawals for FTX and had a giant line of credit that they could draw on, which seems like partially may have been users' funds, something that no separate entity would normally have. Now, bear in mind, that is coming from one employee, but it's backed up by another source, the Wall Street Journal, who reported that FTX extended loans to Alameda using money that customers had deposited on the exchange for trading purposes, which they just said they wouldn't do.
Wait. But which they could also be doing if they wanted to with the money that they get from the fees, which are pretty good. It's probably good money. They're not broke, right? They could still do something like this with the money that they make with the fees,
deposited on the exchange for trading purposes.
It's not enough?
Which they just said they wouldn't do. Quote, it was a decision that Mr. Bankman-Fried described as a poor judgment call. But I would disagree with Mr. Sam Bankman-Fried. I would not describe that as a poor judgment call. A poor judgment call is showing up to a Zoom meeting looking like this. When you take clients' funds and do exactly what you told them you would not do with them, that's...
Yeah, but he judged a Toyota, though, dude. It's on brand, bro. Dude, it makes sense, man. Chill
theft,
out.
and that is fraud. Now, I know this is already all insane, but we've only explained sort of half the story, how clients' funds were being used by Alameda. But how are they lost? Because new reports show that Alameda may owe FTX $10 billion. How did they lose that $10 billion? Because these were supposed to be the crypto geniuses, right? Well, this is unfortunately where we have to kind of get a mix of facts and speculation. As I said, I'm going to tell you guys what we're sure about, what we're not. So losses likely come from 4 places that I've heard about. Number 1 is just FTX themselves spending insane amounts on advertising with stadiums, Tom Brady, and a crazy number of YouTube influencers who apparently were shilling FTX. The second place they likely lost money was that Alameda invested heavily into FTT tokens and a lot of their own projects.
Okay,
which
so they gave loans to the other company and collateralized the loans with the tokens from the other company.
When FTX went down, basically went to zero, or at minimum couldn't be sold very quickly. The third way they lost money was that Sam Bankman-Fried tried to bail out all of crypto in the summer. People like BlockFi, Voyager Digital, Skybridge Capital, which led to huge losses. And then when Alameda found itself with big losses around the time of a lot of these companies' collapse, number 4, Alameda took out a $4 billion line of credit from FTX, a $4 billion loan, essentially. And what did they give FTX in return to back up this money? FTT tokens and Robinhood shares.
Wait!
Guys, which the FTT tokens is...
Wait! But it makes no sense at all.
The crazy part, because FTX, that's their token. So it's basically giving nothing. This is all according to Reuters, and it's just insane. Many financial commentators are calling this dark magic, but I think Matt Levine of Bloomberg put it best. He says it's possibly illegal, and it's like a bank.
Wait, it's like trading yourself money, like in it, right?
Lending a lot of money against its own stock. The problem obviously being that if you face a liquidity crunch or people lose confidence in you, then these FTT tokens go to zero and now your clients aren't backed. So it's extremely risky behavior at the best. And like he said, possibly illegal. I'd say probably illegal. So it was this incestuous relationship between FTX and Alameda that led to their downfall. And
wow, possible illegal activity in the crypto world? No way, man. That
while
can't
we
be
don't
right.
know the full extent of their losses and what is just they can't find the liquidity right now, estimates right now are going from billions to $10 billion at the highest I've seen, which is just wild, and I feel so bad for the victims here. But I find the collapse unbelievably ironic in all of this because SBF was lecturing Congress about how crypto exchanges were so much better than the traditional financial system. In 2008, it was unregulated. It was so risky. But it turns out he was doing all of the same things.
Last thing that I'll say is if you look at what precipitated some of the 2008 financial crisis, you saw a number of bilateral, bespoke, non-reported transactions happening between financial counterparties, which then got repackaged and re-leveraged again and again and again, such that no one...
Okay, so basically what he did is that...
He learned the strategy.
He learned the strategy. This is it's a classic, though. This is a massive classic.
Knew how much risk was in that system until it all fell apart. If you compare that to what happened
my man went to fucking school on that day, dude. He went to fucking learn some
or
shit.
other major
he actually fucking learned the stress
today.
Okay,
there's complete transparency about the full open interest. There's complete transparency about the positions that are held. There's a robust, consistent risk framework applied, and we're excited to work with the CFTC on our U.S. licensed and regulated venue.
Yikes. Does the phrase bespoke, non-reported transactions happening between financial counterparties, which then got repackaged and repackaged again and again to such an extent that no one knew how much risk was in the system, does that sound familiar to anyone? because it sounds exactly like what SBF did. You know, the only difference between SBF and these banks.
Basically, it's like I'm buying myself. I'm loaning myself money, right, to give myself a XQC trading card, right? That's kind of how it is. So it's like not. It's like some.
Which he says were so bad was that SBF preached to us how good he was. He was the generous billionaire.
You just say the card.
The guy you see next to me is the most generous billionaire in the world.
Coin is
well,
worse.
I guess that was a lie. But we still kind of have to answer the final question to all of this, which is that it seems like obviously they're insolvent, but how much of it is insolvency versus the liquidity squeeze? We're still figuring that out, to be honest. SBF, even after making a thread today admitting that he effed up and he should have done better, still claims that FTX has assets that are higher than their clients' deposits, basically saying they are solvent still, kind of.
No way, a little
but
bro.
Honestly, I think this is almost definitely.
Whoa. Okay, no. Isn't that literally quite literally impossible if they paused withdrawals? Because if they dude, it's not like everybody will withdraw their money, right? Oh, it is zero. That would never happen. It would be a good amount, right? It wouldn't be there's zero. So if they have more than that, they shouldn't even be scared of going to zero, right?
Well, kind of, but honestly, I think this is almost definitely another lie from Sam Bankman-Fried, given that A, we know that a lot of their assets are in illiquid tokens like FTT, which that real value is probably zero.
Liquid.
And also B, well, this guy has already proven himself to be a liar and we shouldn't trust him. So I just default to assuming that he's lying. My guess is they're insolvent by at least a few billion, maybe the full 10 billion. We don't know. SBF is now seeking to raise 9.4 billion in an emergency fundraise, which I think speaks volumes to that. I don't think they'll get it. Brian Armstrong of Coinbase has said, I don't know why investors would put money into this now, which is a nice way of saying, I don't know why anyone put money into this ever. But not everyone, though, seems skeptical. Amazingly, there still are some believers. Bill Ackman, for example, believed SBF's apology. In a now deleted tweet, he responds that you have to give SBF credit for his accountability here. I have never seen a CEO take responsibility as he does here. It reflects well on him and the possibility.
It's a 2-sentence tweet.
Of a more favorable outcome for FTX. But what accountability is he talking about? I don't see that at all.
Dude, X, you just don't get it,
is
bro.
explicitly dodging responsibility about his criminal lies about reserves. Remember, we talked about how he said, you know, assets are fine. We have the full amount to cover client deposits. But now look at his new accounting of events. Because what he says now is that he messed up and mistakenly thought that they had zero leverage and 24x the
if I can, dude.
that he messed up and mistakenly thought that they had zero leverage and 24x the needed liquidity. In reality, he says he was wrong and that they were leveraged 1.7x and didn't have the necessary liquidity. And look, at first glance, I understand why that would appear like he's taking, responsibility here, until you realize that what he's really telling you is that he sucks at his job. Because how can you not know, as the CEO, as this genius, how levered up you are? You're this genius trader. Isn't it awfully convenient that you're suddenly bad at your job when it would be criminal if you actually knew? Because those are the two options. If he had known he was lying, that's criminal. So he's basically saying, well, I didn't know. I was just wrong. I'm just terrible at my job.
I mean, but also, it's not only his job. He probably has like a lot of people who work for him, technically, right? It's also their job to monitor this, right? Because it's kind of hard to have like a 1 point of failure system. It's really a multiple point of failure.
And I'm just not buying
Everybody knew it was failing.
My opinion of it is this. SBF is a shark who knowingly put his own customers' funds at risk to save his trading firm, Alameda Research.
Wow.
He did this without telling them, while giving them worthless FTT tokens as collateral.
Dude, they sponsored
everything too. He then lied about it right up until the last possible moment. And when it finally came out that what he did was likely criminal, he goes, "Oh, whoops, I didn't know."
Oh wait, this whole order is about like 20 bill type of shit, right? Total, dude, they could either spend a singular $1 million, right, and have enough employees that are qualified to help the job, right, for foreseeable future, and avoid this shit.
No,
literally, a $1 million.
It's ridiculous. And anyone who believes this, well,
also, I'm just
I
gonna
have
say
a
right now,
multi-billion-dollar crypto exchange to sell you. Anyways, he ends this thread by saying that Alameda Research is winding
TSM Puggers
down trading, and he also addresses CZ of Binance. saying at some point I might have more to say about a particular sparring partner, so to speak. But
I'm
you know,
sorry.
glass houses. So for now, all I'll say is, well played, you won. Which just strikes me as so weird of a statement. He talks about this as if it's a sparring partner, as if it's all a game. This is not a game to be won and lost. This is billions of dollars of people's real money that you just lost. Correction. He might have stolen it, or maybe
Also,
one
why
of
is
his
he even tweeting
executives
anyway?
did, or a hacker did. We don't know for sure. Welcome to the future. It sucks here. Guys, as I said, a lot has changed, and I want to cover it. For one, SBF declared Chapter 11 bankruptcy for all his companies, including FTX US, which he said was fine, and many influencers promoted. See this video for more.
Wait a minute.
It basically looks like they're all in deep trouble. Even worse, news around Alameda has gotten
I was about to say.
more dire.
Wait. So you think maybe Alameda has all the juice and they're bankrupting FTX, right? And just using bankrupt, boom. But they got the juice?
See, originally we thought this team was a bunch of geniuses in crypto. Now it's coming out they were more like a gang of kids who all dated each other. This report comes from CoinDesk. Alameda employees were in romantic relationships with each other. And there's speculation that the CEO of Alameda, Caroline Ellison, became the CEO maybe because she dated Sam Bankman-Fried. Incidentally, she also has been revealed to be a big fan of amphetamines, which is just not great when you're controlling billions of dollars.
Yeah,
and it gets worse when you realize that SBF had secretly added a, quote, backdoor into FTX's bookkeeping system. This came out just recently, which allowed SBF to, quote, execute commands that could alter the company's financial records without alerting other people. In other words, this is how we believe Sam moved $10 billion in funds from FTX to Alameda without alerting anyone. Later, it was reported that among this $10 billion, some of it also went missing from even Alameda, with Reuters reporting that 1 to 2
tinted windows gives his girlfriend $10 billion.
It's no tint.
Not a bad dude.
No tint.
No tint.
Some of it also went missing from even
Not a bad
Alameda,
guy.
with Reuters reporting that $1 to $2 billion are unaccounted for, even among Alameda's assets. Which again, it just all looks so bad for SBF. And from here, things spiral even worse. Because once the dust started settling, you know, we thought, okay, we're going to get a clearer picture now that they're entering bankruptcy. But then they suddenly got hacked in addition to everything. On Telegram, their admin says FTX has been hacked. All funds seem to be gone.
Oh, God. Okay,
FTX apps are malware. Delete them.
What the
This
fuck?
is just insane. How could this happen? CoinDesk reported that the hacker got out $600 million. And I have...
Dude, this is my dog ate my homework. My dog ate my house.
I have to tell you that some numbers are slightly less than that. 400 million from Slow Mist, for example, and this hack is being traced. So we don't know the full story right now, but it's a lot of money. So to state the obvious, this is very bad for FTX, and it also seems like pretty convenient timing for Sam, who has suddenly become unresponsive. So this fueled a lot of speculation. Now, Elon Musk decided to join the speculation, seeming to accuse Sam in a meme of being behind it all. He posted this: "Man F's 5 million people."
Oh, that's what I saw on Twitter.
Which is a pretty good one. And basically, this set off a frenzy of people frantically trying to unmask the hacker, eager to make it Sam or Caroline or even their CTO, Gary. For example, some people used the GitHub activity of Gary Wang to show that he did an unusual number of commits to his GitHub
It was
repo,
Lizard Squad,
basically saying he might have set up this sudden hack. And he did all this a day before FTX was hacked. And this for sure is very suspicious, but we need to be careful about rushing to conclusions. For example, Mario Nawfal accused the hacker of being an inexperienced insider because some of the funds were traced back to Kraken. And so people thought the mystery was solved when a Kraken...
Bro, all this is falling down. Bro, this guy's in a league game.
Executive said, "We know the identity of this user you guys pointed out." The problem is that it turned out there were actually two people who were operating at the time that this hack happened. The hacker and then the response team over at FTX. And the person using Kraken seems to have been the response team and not the hacker themselves. So it seems like a false identification there. So I get it. We all want to know who the hacker is, but we can't jump to conclusions here. And I'm going to try to be honest with you guys about what we know and what we don't. For now, let's just say the leading suspects are anybody at Alameda or FTX, and especially Sam himself, but we do not know for sure. Another thing we do not know, but people seem to be happy to claim as fact, is that SBF is fleeing the Bahamas.
End of season grind, get on league and grind.
And flying to Argentina. This could be true. We just do not know.
Who said that?
Currently, the most tracked flight in the world is the one everyone suspects of being Sam, but we do not have concrete evidence. And that's going to be the final bit of speculation we entertain here because there's infinite theories about how all this happened. All we know is that FTX is massively in debt and users are unlikely to get their funds back because they sent a lot of it to Alameda and seem to have lost it somehow. The most recent report based on the bankruptcy filing shows FTX held less than $1 billion in liquid assets against $9 billion in liabilities. So this whole is just so bad at this point. And I think that was actually pre-hack, so the real story is likely a lot more grim. And this has been a sad case study in trusting slick billionaires too quickly. And I think this story is only just getting started. Anyways, I hope
that do customers get their money back if the company goes bankrupt?
Keeps you up to date, and hopefully we can edit this thing before all of this information goes out of date in 3 hours. Thanks for watching, and it's time for me to get some sleep.
Jesus. The fuck? Jesus. Wow. Cool. That's... You lost 5K. What the fuck?